Hi guys, let's pick up from where we left off yesterday. So here again are the three laws of logarithms that you need to know to be able to do today's assignment. In our first law, we have a multiplication problem that gets split into two separate problems using addition. In our second one, we have a division problem that gets split into two separate logs using subtraction. And in our final problem, we have an exponent that turns into a multiplication problem. Now today we're going to be working in the opposite direction of yesterday. So yesterday we took a single log and we expanded it out. So we did each of these rules in the direction that they were written in. Today we're going to condense our logs. We're going to take multiple logs and we're going to squish them down until they are just one single log. Okay, so today we're condensing. That means that we're going to go in the other direction. So we're going to take our two pluses and we're going to squish them into a multiplication. We're going to take our minuses, we're going to squish them into division. In each of these problems, you're going to start with multiple log, and then in our final answer, we should only be writing the word log once. So that's what the directions say, write as a single logarithm. This is also known as condensing. Now, today we're going to work backwards. So the last thing that we did yesterday was we took any exponents and we pushed them to the front of the problem. So today we're going to start by taking any numbers that are in front of a log and pushing them up and making them an exponent. So I'm going to take this 3 and I'm going to make it an exponent on my a, and I'm going to take the 1/2 and I'm going to make it an exponent on my b. Next, we're going to take all of the logs. Now in this one, it's only 2 logs, but if you had more than that, you would take all of them and you would squish them down and write them as just one single word log. Now, you do need to keep the base the same, and they had to be the same base actually to even use the rules. So it's important that they're both log base 6. So I'm going to write log base 6 one time, and then after the word log, I'm going to put my a's and my b's. Now in this problem, my log for my a was positive and my log for my b was negative. So I'm going to put the a on top of a fraction and I'm going to put the b on the bottom of a fraction. Notice the space right here between the log and the fraction. So we write the word log once, and then after that we put all of our letters. Now we have written this as a single logarithm, but if you remember back to yesterday, we didn't really have any problems that started with a fractional exponent. And so my very last step for today is going to be to take that fractional exponent and convert it into a radical instead. B to the 1/2 means the square root of b. And this is my final answer, a log followed by all the variables. Why don't you guys go ahead and try some on your own? So take these, they each start with just 2 logs, and then squish them, condense them into a single log. Make sure to pause the video, and when you're ready, I can help you. All right, let's check and see how you did. So on that first one, log base 10, or you could just write log, right? Remember, if it's a base 10, you don't have to write the 10. And then that one was adding, so it changed to multiplication, a times b, and it's b to the 3rd because there was a 3 in front of the log for b. My second one, very similar to the example. So it's a to the 4th and b squared, and it's a fraction since there was a subtraction sign right here. For my next one, both my a and my b are going to have an exponent of 1/2, which means they're both going to be underneath a square root. So I just put them under the same square root. Since they're both going under a square root, they can be under the same square root. Now this next one is a little bit tricky. So we are going to squish it into a single log, but then we can do some more steps, which we learned last chapter. So I can change this into 24 divided by 3. And 24 divided by 3 is 8. So that's where this came from. And then we did actually, we learned how to do this last chapter. So this was saying 2 to what power turns into 8? Well, 2 to the 3rd is 8. So the best answer for this problem is the number 3. If they just ask you to write it as a single log, then you would stop here since you do have the word log in your final answer. So it all kind of depends on what the directions are saying. So if the directions say write as a single log, you would stop at log base 2 of 8. But if the directions say to simplify completely, then you would keep going and you would get an answer of 3. Now, you might want to pause the video again and do this part because now that we know this, maybe we can do a little bit more with number 5. All right, so I did 6 squared is 36, and then I divided that by 9 because it was subtracting the log of 9, and I got 4. And so again, if it says to write it as a single log, you would write log base 4 of 4. But if it says simplify completely, you would keep going, and the final answer to this one would be the number 1. All right, guys, that's it for today.